For someone who wasn't necessarily the best footballer or the best goalkeeper, to be a part of something and to bring it to being able to have these conversations around now. The Wembley Cup I look back on it and go, it's a great achievement to being able to play it at Wembley for one. There were 35,000 people in the first one that we played at. It was a game against West Ham United staff.
Right.
Some good saves. So it was that one. We played at the O2 as well. I mean, it wasn't a 11-a-side game, it was a 5-a-side game, but I made a lot of saves that one, played well. That initial season coaching with Hashtag, I think I found that really hard and difficult because of the transition between playing and coaching.
Hi Andy, how are you today?
Very well, excited to be here.
Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you joining me on the Chinwag podcast this afternoon. So just give a little background about yourself. How did you get into football to start off with?
Well, I suppose my earliest memories of football was must have been 6 or 7. My dad ended up managing my team. So at that point I was a midfielder. I used to run around, score a lot of goals. But it was very much in that kind of local community, my local team, school friends in there. Just kicking the ball back in the park, really. Did
you have any trials anywhere, any different clubs, or was it just always Sunday league for you?
So I played for my youth team, all the way up to 18, and then in that period I had 2 opportunities. I was 11 and I went to Villa for a little bit. Didn't work out there. And then when I was 18, actually, I went to Stoke, played a trialist game there, and didn't make the grade. How
long were you at Stoke for? Were you there for the 6-week trial, or you just had one game?
One game. So it was invited to a game at. It was played at Newcastle under Lyme's ground, and it was kind of like an exit trial for a lot of players who had been at professional clubs. I was playing for my local semi-professional under-18s team at that point. A few people had been picked up to go to trials at various different places, so I must have been picked up through that way. Got asked to play in a game, and I was 18 playing with a load of younger kids that were all sort of 16, 17, and they'd all come from having a lot longer in the professional game than my trial.
Especially you started as a midfielder as well. So were you playing goal at that time, or were you still in midfield for that trial?
No, so I was outfield until 9.
Right.
It was the first time I went in goal. So at that point, the team that I was playing for, my local team, split into 2. My dad took on the management of one team, and the goalkeeper, who was the goalkeeper, went on to the other team, so it left us with no goalkeeper.
Right. So obviously you had a trial at Villa and you had one game at Stoke. So what was your experience like at Villa at such a young age, going for a trial after just going in goal?
So I was 11 when I went to Villa. It was a really good experience. Looking back on it, it was across at Bodymoor Heath. It was for a period of time. I think it was a 6-week trial. There was a large amount of kids there, and it was just being around. I was kind of a half Villa fan at this point as well. I mean, Wolves is my team, but I used to go watch a lot of Villa games with a friend of mine whose younger brother wasn't able to go see night games, so I used to get his tickets, so I used to get to Villa Park.
Oh, nice.
Nigel Spink was the goalkeeper at the time with Mark Bosnich, and Nigel Spink's son was there, so Nigel was there watching training as well and stuff. That was a big draw for me. Being in and around that, I enjoyed it. It was good training and coaching, which I don't think I'd been experienced before. So I was there for a 6-week trial. That then turned into a 12-week trial, which then turned into another 6-week trial, and it was around that time. I think it was the 3rd time after being asked to come back again. I actually said I can't do it anymore. Got an injury, and I've been told not to. So
was that difficult for you, saying no because obviously you're having an injury, or was it quite an easy decision to leave that because obviously of your injury?
I'm not sure if it was my decision or if it was my parents' decision. I don't know. It wasn't good. I mean, there was question marks whether or not I had Osgood Slatter's knee problems, but a lot of tendinitis problems I was having at the time, so it was best for me not to play. The doctor's advice at that time was take a year off sport, which was never going to happen.
So I'm guessing you didn't listen to the doctors, or did you stick to the strict doctor's rule?
No, I just really cut down on what I was doing and played in games. We were doing really well at the time. I think we were high, top of the league. It was a really successful youth team I played for. We won the league majority of the times. I think in that year as well, we were doing well in the County Cup and we were on a run. So there's no way I wasn't.
So you're saying when you were 18, you went to Stoke, you had one game.
Yeah.
So after that, what happened with your kind of football career after that?
So from a goalkeeping perspective, it was kind of that trial. Just went, well, I'm not going to play in goal anymore. I'm going to start playing out. Went to play with friends on a Sunday morning. It was Wolverhampton Sunday morning league. I tried to convert myself into this goal scorer centre forward. Didn't quite work out as well as I'd planned.
Who did you base your game off on the TV?
I'm more of a Teddy Sheringham
Okay.
than anywhere else. I've got no pace, so I can't go in behind. So instead of going that way, I used to go that way instead.
Right.
So yeah, I used to enjoy playing with someone who was quick, who could go stretch the lines, and I'd play in that little hole. That's what I tried to do.
Yeah, I've got no pace as well. I've stopped playing football now, but I just coached. I had no pace as well. So obviously, you go to university. Did you go to university?
Yeah.
So you went to university, and so how did you manage to play football there, or did you try your hand at another sport?
Yeah, so after the trial at Stoke, played out Sunday mornings. The team, my youth team, then started an adult team as well. So I dipped in and out of that, which was a Saturday afternoon, sort of really low semi-professional team. At that point as well, took a year out from education, went to Australia, then came back, deferred my university place. It was like, I thought I'd try and get back into goalkeeping again. So went to Northampton Uni, went through the trial process there to get into the teams. There were 4 teams. Got picked from the second team, and then I think as quickly as I was picked from the second team, I got dropped from the second team well. So went to play inter-college football,
Right.
Just as an outfielder.
Okay, so as an outfielder, so now obviously you do goalkeeping. So how late in your career did you become, not in your career, but like how late did you pick up goalkeeping and wanted to become a goalkeeper?
Yeah, so I played in goal then from 9 to 18, then took a year out, which ended up being 2 years out. Went to university, and then it was that second year at uni, then went back into playing in goal and playing for the university teams. So that being dropped from the second team in my first year became playing for the first team in the second year.
Right. So what was that like, obviously getting dropped? Obviously, what happened in that kind of situation that the manager told you, or what were the reasons you were getting dropped for?
Yeah, it was an interesting experience in terms of the way that university football was run back then, and the size of university and the type of university I went to. It was all student led, so it was all run out of the students' unions. Students ran the team, managed the team, did anything and everything.
So is it like a bit of favouritism, you thought?
Yeah, it completely was.
Completely, 100%.
Yeah, so the goalkeeper who was there the year before was not going to play this year.
Right.
And decided he was going to play this year, so it was a case of he's playing and you're not.
Oh.
And that's how it was given. At that point as well, all teams were kind of set in the squads that they had, so there was no movement between the second team and the third team, for example, or the first team or whatnot at that point. So it was a case of you're not playing for the university team.
So what did you do after that? How did you like pick yourself up from not being able to play at university in that period of time?
So I just went back to enjoying football. I mean, played inter-college football, ran around, scored a lot of goals. Standard of football was okay at best, but it was really good environment, really good friends. They're all friends from campus, friends from course that I was on, and then friends of friends. So it became a really good environment to play in, just running around enjoying football.
So after you leave university and college, how did you pick up your football after that? Was it non-league? Was it back to Sunday league, or were you just back to enjoying it with your friends again? So
the team that the youth football team that I played for before started an adult team. That was the lowest level of semi-professional. So I went and played for them.
Oh, nice. So what were your experiences with that, with your friends, especially with your friends? So what was that like?
Yeah, it was great. So the first season wasn't very successful. Second season was. We got promoted into the West Midlands Regional League. I think it was the Premier League at that point. But it was a really good. Again, it's just playing with mates with a decent standard of football that enjoyed, and then everything else around it in terms of the enjoyment side of things, going out after the games and all that was there. So it was good. So
obviously you're known for playing an association with Hashtag United. How did you become involved with a team like Hashtag United?
So my third year at university was Seb's first year at university.
Right.
So within the university teams, not necessarily in the same team, but was Seb, myself, Phil Martin, John Dawson, Dan Brown, Also Mike Anker, I think, had one game for Hashtag as well. And so, but there's a good few people who've played for Hashtag. So I finished university and then played out until I was however old, years after, and then injured my ankle. Actually, it's another injury, but it was on crutches for a little bit, and then after that was going to be my time finished with football. Hashtag at that point had started. Dan Fazy was in goal. Dan Fazy was leaving. I think he was moving across his job into America, which left Hashtag without a goalkeeper. Seb phoned and said, "We need a goalkeeper. Do you want to play?" And it was at that point, it was maybe 10 years since I'd left university, 10 years since I'd played in goal. But the opportunity to play maybe half an hour away from my house was a big draw. It was supposed to be once a month, maybe twice a month we were playing. It was really convenient. It was a really good opportunity to then play again with the likes of Dan and Seb and meet new people and whilst also being a part of something which, to be honest, I knew very little about, but just that draw of being involved again with friends that I hadn't seen and played with for a long time.
What were the best moments of early Hashtag United? Obviously playing with your friends. Or what other opportunities did you manage to get from playing for Hashtag?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, just playing at Wembley twice is a big one. The trips abroad are always big highlights. Spain and Serbia and America, and playing at many professional grounds, and there's quite a few. For someone who wasn't necessarily the best footballer or the best goalkeeper, to be a part of something and to bring it to being able to have these conversations about it now, it's brilliant.
So the first Wembley Cup obviously was an empty stadium. So what did you play in that one?
I didn't play in that one.
So you played at Wembley. So what were your best experiences about playing Wembley and in general about the whole day?
Yeah, the Wembley Cup I look back on it again, it's a great achievement to being able to play it at Wembley, for one. There were 35,000 people in the first one that we played at. But actually looking back at the game and what happened within it, didn't really cover myself in too much glory. Always looking back on that bit with a little bit of regret, wishing that I'd played better, made better decisions. But everything around it, you can take a lot from that. I think you learn a lot about yourself in those sort of situations. If you've never been we played in front of crowds, but it's normally one man and a dog type thing. It's the low levels of semi-pro, to then suddenly playing in front of people being one, and then in a big stadium in front of thousands of people, whilst also the game was also online as well, so there were however many thousands of millions potentially in Spencer's reach that he has watching the game. You learn a lot about yourself in those kind of more higher pressure, if that's even the case in that.
What did you learn about yourself, since you talked about learning things about yourself?
So I no beating about the bush with it. I was really nervous before the game, and I think I looked on it a very negative. You mentioned earlier before we started, you've had the goalkeeper's mindset. I would love to have worked with somebody from that space in and around that game and everything else as well. Just the way that I approached the game, my reactions within the game, and then after the game, can take a lot of learnings from that.
So did you put what you learned from the first Wembley Cup into the second time you played at Wembley?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one was very much for me trying to most probably trying not to make any mistakes, whereas the second one was more about actually enjoying the experience. I think in the first one I was happier in the second half when I wasn't playing, watching the game, knowing that it was over, knowing that whereas what I should have been really looking forward to and excited about was actually being on the pitch. So I tried to take that into the second game and actually enjoying the time, actually looking forward to having the opportunity to play. Whereas in the first one it was very much about, I don't want to make any mistakes in front of this many people, which I think really affected the way I played the game.
So how long did you play for Hashtag in total? And what were apart from playing at Wembley, obviously, because that's a really, really good, great moment, what were the really, really good moments for you personally playing for Hashtag?
What, in terms of specific games?
It's just for your experiences or what you learned, the opportunities you got.
Experiences and a bit. Like I mentioned all the trips abroad. I was most probably with Hashtag. How many years? 4. Because I made the move as well when the team went into semi-professional football. A number of the players dropped out. It just wasn't right for them, but I made that transition across, and I think that was quite important for me personally because I played in goal however many years ago. Then I played at actually the same level that Hashtag went into semi-professional as an outfielder. So then I wanted to prove to myself that I could have played at that level previously, if not better, as a goalkeeper.
And did you manage to prove yourself as a goalkeeper? So what were your best moments in goal for Hashtag? I don't know if you can remember any specific games or moments.
Yeah, for me, pre-semi-pro, there was a game. There was a game against West Ham United staff. Made some good saves. That was that one. We played at the O2 as well. I mean, it wasn't a 11-a-side game, it was a 5-a-side game, but I made a lot of saves in that one. Played well. And then when we moved into semi-professional football, there was a game. Went to penalty shootout in the end as well. Made a penalty save. I can't remember.
You got to send me that, and then I can just post that over whilst we're talking about it.
I have to remember.
Dig through the footage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going on different tours with Hashtag as well. You've been to Spain. You've been to Serbia. I'm going to ask you again what your best memories are from those trips. Obviously, playing football and hanging out with your friends. So, what were the best moments about those trips in particular abroad?
I think the America trip really stands out. So went to Atlanta, went to New York. So being able to experience somewhere new in Atlanta, never been there, and we went to see the Coca-Cola factory and some other things around that. But being able to play there and just kind of having that time, that period where you get treated like a professional footballer for a bit. So you get put up in a nice hotel, you get all those luxuries that sit around it that you wouldn't normally get, and then on top of that, then you get the playing experience. That was a good one. It was also a good one for me personally because we went to New York, and I'd spent time in New York previously after university, so I was able to see people that I hadn't seen for a long time. We were able to catch a Red Bulls game as well while we were there, so that was a really good experience. So
after you stopped playing for Hashtag, do you go into coaching? Because I know obviously you do some goalkeeper coaching now. Did you go straight into that, or did you have a little break first?
So I mentioned New York there. So I've coached for years, and I was coaching across in New York as well, predominantly previously as an outfield coach. So I've gone through various qualifications in UEFA qualifications and American qualification actually while I was across there. So after I'd finished playing for Hashtag, then I carried on. So I finished in the December-January time. It was around Christmas when I decided that actually this wasn't working for me. So decided to not play on the head. I carried on training though at that point, and then the next year Devs needed a goalkeeping coach, so I asked if it was something I'd be interested in. So I jumped at that opportunity to stay involved. My availability is limited because I've got a young family, got a job which takes up a lot of my time. So I was only available for training sessions. But at that point, that kind of started not necessarily started my goalkeeping coaching because I've done quite a bit previously, but that's kind of cemented that goalkeeping coaching element of it within Hashtag.
So you said obviously you coached in America, and now you coach here. Are there different types or different versions of coaching styles you've seen in America compared to England, or are they very, very similar?
Yes, my coaching qualifications that I've gone through here in the UK is most probably the last one. Was most probably about 10 years ago. And the FA way of coaching at that point, actually no, it's not. That's my outfield qualification. For a goalkeeping bit, it wasn't too long ago.
Got too many qualifications off the top of your head.
But previously, I always remember the FA way of coaching was always a stop, stand still, and then we're going to carry on coach. The American way was very much what they call drive-by coaching. So let the game play, let them carry on going, and then just make small coaching amendments to individuals while the game's going. I think that was the main one really. But ultimately, as a coach, you've got to be able to get your message across in numerous different ways to an individual or to a group of individuals. So how you best tailor that message is dependent on the environment and the situation that you're in.
Whilst you were coaching in New York, what kind of level did you coach up to? Was it just like young adults, like under 18s, or was it to a higher level?
So it was all youth football at that point. Within America at that time anyway, there was kind of two classifications of football. One is recreational, which would kind of class as just kick-about type football, and the other one being travel, which would be a more serious type team that would then go and travel and play against opposition. So I coached both predominantly travel teams within local communities. At that time as well, the New York Red Bulls, their academy started, I think it was at 14, I think. But so pre-14 they had regional development schools. I mean, New York is a massive place, so they've got lots of satellite schools basically, which are regional development schools. So I was able to do a little bit of coaching there. And then also I was at the Red Bulls at the same time as Andrew Sparks, who was last coach. He was his last assistant manager at Reading actually, but has coached in the Premier League with Southampton as a goalkeeping coach. And he was a goalkeeper coach at the Red Bulls at the time. He was doing the academy. He broke his leg and needed someone to help, so I was able to help him and do little bits with the academy as well, but that was real small amounts.
So you said it was really small amounts, obviously. So the coaching compared to America to here, do you prefer the American style of coaching or do you prefer the English style of coaching?
I think, what do I prefer? I think, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to go about it. I think it's very much, you have to be able to coach in a certain way according to the qualification that you're getting in order to pass the qualification.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think it's very much the coach to be the authentic voice for the message that they're putting across. So, yeah, I don't think I have a favourite way.
So after you come back from America, you said you spent about 7 months in America, right?
Yeah, almost a year.
Almost a year, sorry. You come back to England and do you get straight back into coaching again? Or again, do you take another little break and let yourself reset?
Yeah, so I came back, coached straight away. Got some local coaching with schools and some of the local organisations, and then I was actually looking to pursue that more here, but it didn't work out for a few different reasons.
So now you've got your Instagram page and you do a lot of goalkeeper coaching. What's the most rewarding part of being a goalkeeper coach?
I think you could ask the question, what's the most rewarding part? Coaching for me, because it doesn't matter whether or not it's goalkeeping or outfield or individual or team, but I enjoy seeing other people enjoy themselves. I really like training, so to make it a fun environment that people like and they want to come back to, and then to see kids especially, or people, adults, whoever you're coaching, improve and be better for the sessions that you're putting on is really rewarding.
Yeah, I coach at a school, the under-16s, the under-18s, and to see them progress is really, really good as well. So what is the toughest part of being a coach for you personally, and the toughest moments in your coaching career?
Oh, what a question. Toughest moments. Toughest moments for me was actually when I was in America. So the American travel teams that I was involved in did trials. So, I mean, it's a good standard of football, but it's not an excellent standard of football, I don't think. My opinion on that sort of level of football is that you should have opportunities for all, essentially. And there were times where, because of the number of squad places that are available, that you have to turn around and say, sorry, your child is not at the level required in order to join the team. I found that a really hard message to give. So trying to have other avenues or opportunities for those kids was really important for me.
Obviously you've had many opportunities to play, like for Hashtag at Wembley. Have you had any really memorable opportunities from being a coach and opportunities that you've been given?
I don't think I've ever been asked that before. From a coaching perspective. So I suppose my coaching perspective, when people think about coaching, they think about coaching and managing and being part of a team, and then being a part of the team on match day. Whereas I don't necessarily get involved with match day so much, and my focus isn't necessarily on results and getting better results. I'd prefer to operate at a slightly younger level where it's about development and enjoyment and fun, I think. So have I had any experiences from coaching from a match day perspective? A few, but not many. There was a time where actually I'm also coaching for a team called Bushhill Rangers at the moment, who I used to play for a short period of time, but they were involved in a couple of cup finals that I was involved in as part of the management staff, and then seeing the team having trained and worked for something all season to be able to lift the trophy was enjoyable from a spectator perspective type thing. From an individual perspective, I don't know, because all kids have a level of which not all of them are going to become professional footballers, but they have levels where they will get better and they will achieve. So I mean, it was talking actually about New York and then going back. I've gone across back a few times, and at that point, some of the kids that I've coached, I've been able to see them again. They've organised games that I've been involved with and stuff. So seeing them as 11, 12, 13-year-olds and coaching them to then going back 3-4 years later when they're 17, 18, growing up, and they still remember you and say hello, and you're able to have conversations and they're able to say that I've impacted them in a positive way. I think it's a really good output. Yeah.
So you've been a player and now you're a coach. So what are the main differences in your mind? Obviously, I feel one of the main ones as a coach and a manager, you got to worry about everyone. But what is the toughest thing about transitioning from being a player to now a coach?
I think I found that initial season coaching with Hashtag, I think I found that really hard and difficult because of the transition between playing and coaching, and still feeling that I wanted to play, I think, or I could have played potentially, or I wanted to be involved in playing, but yet not being involved in playing. So I found that hard. There's also a difference between coaching adults and kids, I think, and being able to walk into an environment with adults and then be seeing this is the way we're going to do things because of X, Y, and Z, and then having to bring people along the journey, which you don't necessarily have to invest so much time and space in with kids.
Do you prefer coaching kids as you can nurture them more, or do you prefer coaching the adults where you can give your proper insight to tactics and different strategies to win a game?
I think my age group to coach would most probably be around the 14, 15, 16 age. I think that's where I could make the biggest difference.
And why do you think that is?
Yeah, good question. I think it's at that sort of age that you become more tactically aware. Mm-hmm. So you have to start introducing more of those sorts of themes to sessions. And I think that's kind of crossover of being able to say, right, here is a technical base that you have, and that now we need to add on to that and add on a tactical element to things. Whatever it is that you're doing, I think it's really appealing. I think to get that balance right when you're older, coaching adults, especially at semi-pro level, because you have limited time with players. So you might have a session or two a week where you've got to get all of your ideas across. You've got to be really succinct, and you've got to be really mindful about what topics you're covering and when and how, and what it is you're trying to get out of the players. I think there's a lot more in adults around what it is we're going to do in order to win this game, which is you've got to have a large library of information in order to base that on. I think from a kid's perspective, as long as you're able to go, here's a toolbox that you have to try and fix a solution or get a solution to a problem, and you're adding to that toolbox, then I think that's the kind of focus that is better for me.
So with your coaching career, do you have any new projects coming up in the near future?
From a coaching perspective, then really what I want to do is go and observe other coaches at work. I find it really interesting and really beneficial and insightful to go watch good coaches do what they're doing. I love watching things like like the England training YouTube videos.
Yes,
go and see goalkeepers at work, or professional footballers at work, but going to see goalkeepers especially. There's something about watching a goalkeeper, it's a craft which is delightful to watch. And so I want to work, or I want to watch and see, participate potentially, but I'm getting a bit old for that now, in sessions with good coaches. So that's one thing that I'm going to be working on, hopefully, in the short future, in the near future.
I look forward to seeing that on your Instagram page.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. And then the other thing that I'm working on at the moment is bringing out my own range of gloves. So being a goalkeeper, loving goalkeeping, there's something about putting on a fresh pair of gloves which fit perfectly, which make you feel amazing.
I'd love to wear some for a challenge video on my channel. That would be great. So hopefully we can collab at some point and do a challenge.
I'm sure we can get something in the diary. So yeah, I've created, the brand name is XE, which stands for EXE, which means 8x8 is the thought process behind this. So a full-size goal is 8 yards by 8 feet, if you didn't know that. So 8.
That's some good piece of information right there.
Yeah, I did a referee's course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when I was, 16, I think 17, little kids, mini soccer at the time. Yeah, learned that then.
You could sneakily ref some hashtag games now.
Oh, absolutely not. I wouldn't go anywhere near an amateur football. 8x8. So I want to help goalkeepers reach their goal, which might be touching the crossbar, it might be becoming a professional footballer, it might be whatever. But trying to positively impact the goalkeeping community. So part of that is going to be through content, like I say, working with and observing good goalkeeping coaches. And then the other part of that is bringing out my own glove range.
I wish you all the best for the future and whatever you try and do as well. So thank you so much for joining me on the Chinwag podcast this afternoon. I really, really do appreciate it. Make sure to follow Andy on all his socials. His social will be in the description down below. So where do you see yourself in 5 years' time as a coach with your glove company brand? And fire away.
I have no idea. To be honest, I don't really have a 5-year plan. I seem to have just taken it little by little. A lot of it for me depends on what my kids are doing and what they're interested in. So I've got 2 young kids, so in 5 years' time, I'll be wherever they are, doing whatever they're doing, watching them.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much for joining me. If you did enjoy that podcast, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Follow Andy, as I said, on all of his socials. And don't forget, I'll see you later for more.